Welcome to the Grow Fast podcast, where we talk with leading sales, marketing, and personal growth experts about how companies can accelerate sales, optimize marketing, and grow their businesses fast. Let's go. Hey, Will. How are you?
Good. Thank you very much, Mark. Thanks for inviting me.
Hey, it's my pleasure as always. And I always have to ask you, because I never know with you, where are you? You're probably the most well-traveled executive that I know in the world. Globally.
So at the moment, I'm in the Middle East. I'm going back and forth between Bahrain and Saudi Arabia for some of the projects that we're doing here over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah.
Are you seeing an increasing number of engagements in specific regions, or you just happen to be there right now? Or are you seeing like, hey, you know what? In the Middle East, executive coaching, leadership coaching wasn't a thing before, and now it's becoming really a thing, or more international companies are setting up operations there, so it's becoming a thing, or, what are you seeing?
So, yes, in the Middle East, coaching has become very, very important and also popular in a way. And a lot of it has to do with just the demand, right? So a lot of international companies, not just in the Middle East, but in Asia in general, have a lack of qualified talent that is local. So they want to use coaching to get more locals into higher levels, right? In Saudi, they call that Saudiization and Emiratization and Bahrainization, right? So they have their own themes for that with strategy goals for 2030 and 2040. So these are declared goals by the government. And people invest in that. And, one of the admirable things in a country like Saudi Arabia, for instance, that I know for a fact that the people at the highest level in government, they have a coach and they brag about it. They're cool with it. And I know that because I'm coaching some of the people in that area as well. And yeah, it's really inspiring to see how they step up to that. Yeah.
That's interesting. I think it was Eric Schmidt at Google a few years back had said, like, one of the most important things that any leader can do is get a coach. He said everybody needs a coach, and let me. I want to talk to you today about how leaders can stay motivated and energized and stuff like that. But before we get into that, I am just curious, because you talked about helping local leaders develop their global skills. And you and I have worked together in the past, specifically in the context of working with companies in Japan, which is a very distinct, unique culture, and they have a very unique business environment. And I'm wondering, do you find that some countries are more open to becoming adopting global practices, and others are a little bit more restrictive? And you don't have to name the countries, but I'm wondering, do you notice that?
I think there are two angles to that, right? So some countries are easier on coaching because they understand that you have a tutor, right? Like the Confucianistic countries like China, Korea, Japan, they understand the concept of a tutor and a teacher who helps you to get to the next level, right? So therefore, some of these countries are very open to coaching because of that. Yeah? And then the other piece is that some cultures and countries just see the need for that in order to get to the next level, right? Like in the Middle East, and specifically Saudi Arabia, is so much in a hurry to make sure that they are making the transition towards their 2030 and 2040 goals. And yeah, they just put a lot of effort in that. Effort means resources, but also effort means telling people, step up.
That's awesome. And then they listen and do it. Actually, before I talk too much more about coaching, I should kind of pause here for a second, and maybe for our audience, could you just give a little bit of background in terms of the organization that you've built and some of the coaching experience you had prior to that?
Yeah. So I'm leading as CEO a company called Global Coach Group, and we have a methodology called Triple Win Leadership Coaching. And triple win leadership coaching creates better leaders, better teams, and better results with a 95% success rate. And we have data with more than 100,000 leaders that we coach to demonstrate how the system works. And we also engineered that coaching process to work that well. And yeah, over the now 25 plus years that I have been in coaching and also training and certifying people in this methodology over many years, we have more than 4,000 coaches around the world. So we're leading, if not the largest leadership coaching network in the world. And the nice thing for our coaches and big clients is that everybody uses that approach. So everybody gets to that 95% success rate because they use the same methodology. We have built software systems around that so that coaches can use to make that very effective, time efficient, and resource efficient for them and for their clients. So that helps a lot. And then, of course, then people can use our research and our cases and our guides with their clients as well, because they use a similar approach or a same approach, and consequently they can feed off what other people doing. They can do that too. So it's a little like a Starbucks model for coffee, right? But then for coaching.
Awesome. And you and I have been friends for maybe
94.
30 years. 94.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. 31 years. Okay. I remember in the mid 2000s, maybe it was around 2008 or something, we crossed paths, and you were telling me that you had this vision to build one of the world's largest coaching organizations. And I was just actually on a podcast, somebody else's podcast for once. I got invited to be on a podcast just literally an hour ago. And the host asked me a question, and I responded by telling him a story about, I had this friend who had this vision of building one of the world's largest coaching organizations. And I saw you work on that for several years. And in the beginning, I didn't see you making that much progress, but I did see you building the foundation, getting the processes in place, getting the systems in place, and then refining that, and then taking that to market, and then learning from it. And then one day you had like 1,000 coaches, and it took a few years, but you built that organization up. And the reason I bring up that story is because the point of this podcast is all about staying motivated and energized. Let me ask you, back in the early days, how did you continually stay motivated? And I'm going to put motivation and energy are different things, right? Motivated is like, hey, this is why I want to do it, and that kind of thing. But if you're exhausted and motivated, it's a little bit different. So let's focus on motivation. How did you stay motivated back in the early years?
So I think motivation has a lot to do with meaning. In my case, I'm a very achievement-oriented person, so I don't care about winning, but I care about achieving. It's about progress. It's not about winning, so to say, right? Because life is not a competition, right? Everybody has to do their own thing. So achievement is very important. So understanding what is the bigger goal, what is my next level goal, and then working towards that is the meaning to get to that next level, right? It's like climbing a mountain or learning a skill in life, whether it's sailing a boat or anything, right? It's all about meaning. And I think it's important to understand that as long as you pursue meaning and put energy in meaning, and you believe in the goals that you set that are meaningful to you, then you need to focus on progress. And, it's like in Asia, they have the story about the bamboo tree, right? I mean, in the first 5 years of the bamboo tree, you don't see much. And then all of a sudden, this thing explodes. And that's the same logic with a lot of things that we do in life or in business, is you need to believe in what you're building is working and has the meaning that you like to create. And then from there, things develop.
I love that analogy. Another one I like is the stone cutters, where they're out hammering on a stone, and it'll take, you have to hit that stone maybe 100 times. and you don't really see anything until until the one that makes the stone crack, right? And you don't know when it's, but eventually it's going to crack, right? So got to keep going.
Yeah.
You bring up the meaning, and I feel like that a lot of people, and maybe that's just a reflection on my own, I guess, thoughts, but they tend to be motivated by money. And so people say, oh, I want to work for a bank, or I want to do this profession or that profession, because they identify that profession with success, and big chunk of the success is money. For some people, that is sustainable. Just that winning thing, getting, as long as the numbers are getting bigger, then that's a win for them. But for a lot of people, they need more. And what are some of the things that you think motivate other people as well? I mean, when you say meaning, what do you mean by that? Is it, giving something back to the world? What is it?
Well, yes, I think that the meaning that started what I'm doing currently. I mean, you and I have been kind of seeing each other develop since 1994. And one of the things that kind of frustrated me while I'm working in larger organizations is that so even though people invest in leadership development, and even though people invest in coaching, leaders don't get really better. They think they get better, but other people don't observe that they're getting better. So, and that's of course a waste of resources, right? If companies pouring a lot of money in development for their managers, and I saw it with my manager, I saw it with the people in my team, I saw it also with myself that people didn't observe the amazing things that I thought I was getting better at. And then, I was very blessed to do an MBA in Switzerland early this century, and that really kind of turned things on its head for me, because I saw in practice how GE and HP and Microsoft were actually really developing leaders in real time and get that confirmation of people around them on how to develop together. And that's basically kind of started off my coaching career. And I thought, as a leader of the business, same as you did that in the past and still do that now in your current role, so I was in chemicals, pharma, plastics, and I'm thinking, at the end of the day, you're not in the plastic business or in the chemicals business. You're in the people business. You're helping
Absolutely.
leaders be better with their teams. So you're in the people production business. You're in the people building business. And I was frustrated with how companies do that. So, and the easiest way to solve the problem, right? Then it's like, be part of the solution, right? So get out there, get into the people production business, in the people development business. And so that's how I jumped into coaching. And that's how, so I think it's very meaningful, because I'm a data guy. So I love to understand how data confirm what we're thinking and doing. And all our research pointed out to the percentage of successful leaders the percentage of effective leaders in organizations where people say, that's an amazing manager I want to work for, is about 8%, right?
Wow.
And that's very sad. Yeah, that's a very sad number to start with, right? But it gets even worse if you kind of extrapolate the calculation from there, because everybody changes their job about every 3-4 years. That means every manager, right? My manager then changes every 2 years, because either I change or my manager changes. And that means in my 40 year of work, right, I then have probably about 20 different type of managers one way or another. And if only 8% out of these managers are great managers, that means 1, or in the best case, 2 great managers throughout my lifetime. And that's a very sad prospect for people to live in, right? So I tell this story many times in leadership development workshops or in coaching sessions. And then I see people thinking in their head and thinking, kind of think about their career and say, that's about right. Yeah, it was this person and that person that were great, and the rest was like, nah. Yeah? So for me, the meaning is that we're now in a business where we can scale the improvement of leaders around the world, so that not only leaders are better in managing their business and their teams, but also people who come to work for that leader every day feel like, I'm excited to come to work because I have a great boss.
That's awesome. And I'm sure that you've coached, this is, prior to building your organization, but, or even in parallel with that, you've coached individuals and you've seen them get better. And that must feel really good when you get the feedback after, a 6-month or a 1-year engagement, not just from the individual, but from their colleagues that says, who is this guy? He's amazing now, or she's amazing. She's really improved in these areas. And a lot of times we know this, that we're all skeptical when somebody says that they're going to change. We're like, yeah, show me, and when they recognize that and they acknowledge that change, for that individual and for you as their coach, that must feel awesome.
Yeah. And to me, the awesomeness is really like, if the leader sees like, I get the recognition from my coworkers that I'm getting better. And I get the recognition of my manager that I'm getting better. And we have a 93% success rate that managers say that leaders get better, and a 95% success rate that other coworkers say that the leader got better. That's amazing, right? And to me, it's like, am I happy about that? Yeah, I'm kind of happy about that. But, but I'm much more happy that the leader is happy and that the coworkers are happy, because that's real impact. That's real meaning. That's what it's really all about.
No, that's awesome. And then I guess as an extension of that, or a multiplier of that, is then that you've built this organization where you have empowered or, helped these coaches to go out and do the same thing and make the similar impacts on the world, right? And in the business environment. So you just, you've said, hey, this makes me feel good. I like doing this. But what if I could enable 4,000 other individuals to go out and have, do similar experiences? The overall effect is massive. So I get the motivation now. I totally get it. Let me ask you this though. I mean, you're on a plane probably more than anybody I know, or maybe it just seems that way. I don't know. Maybe you're just always in the same place and you're making this up that, oh, I'm in Dubai now, and now I'm in Paris, and now I'm in Tokyo. You're just, I don't know. Who knows these days, right? But to travel as much as you do, and it's not like you're just doing, travel and hanging out at the pool. You're up early, doing all day long engagements, and then you go back and you've got, I'm sure, hundreds of emails because you are running a global coaching organization, right? So it takes a lot of energy. How do you do it? Like, how do you make sure that that you don't get exhausted, jet lagged, and burned out?
Yeah, it's a little bit like, so meaning is great, right? And it's like driving a car or driving a fast car. Meaning is great, but you still need to fuel and maintain. Elsewhere, meaning doesn't go very far.
Right.
So personally, is relatively straightforward. I think your personal maintenance is important, right? So sleep well, eat well, plan your work and plan your day and plan your week well, right? So that is part of it. Before COVID, like in 2019, I traveled 260 days out of the year, which was obviously crazy. I was like every quarter I traveled around the world about twice at least. Yeah. So that was totally crazy. But after COVID, then we now do a lot more slow travel. So it's like a couple of weeks here, a couple of weeks there. And that makes life a lot easier. And yeah, my kids are on their own, right? They're already 30 and 31. So they have their own jobs and their own life. So my wife and I just also can travel together, which makes it then easy, right? So we're basically rent an apartment here and there, or a house, and then go from this place to that place. And that makes life easy. And then part of that energy is then also like after we're done today, I already have booked a really nice place for dinner tonight. Yeah. Many times it's like, after I'm done at the end of the day, there's a lot of beautiful things to kind of see, do, eat, stay. So we just plan accordingly. So that also energizes a lot, right? You also have your kind of mini holidays.
Yeah. You reward yourself after, and that's really important. Take some time off to say, hey, you know what? Let's smell the roses.
You need to sharpen the soul, like Stephen Covey, you say, right?
Yeah. one of the challenges that I have, as I mentioned on my trip down here in my boat from Seattle to San Francisco, was sleep. But it really hits me when I do international travel, and I don't know if it's the anxiety related to, oh my God, I'm going to get jet lagged, or if it's actual jet lag. But whatever the root cause is, I oftentimes struggle for even up to like a week when I go from the U.S. to Asia or Asia to Europe or whatever. Does that affect you at all, or do you have a process to get around that?
So it doesn't really affect me so much. Yeah, maybe I'm much younger than you are. That could happen. That could be the case. So for me, it's very simple. I use my Apple Watch to manage my sleep well. So I know I need like 7-8 hours of sleep every day. So I can manage that, right? So it's an easy thing. And then I don't eat on the plane. And when I arrive where I arrive, it's always kind of breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Then eat the meal that the time tells you to eat. And then get immediately into that rhythm. Yeah. And that's a little hard sometimes. But, when you're up and be ready, right? And then once you're then done with your shift, right, then go sleep. Yeah? And that also means sometimes that I'm done with work, like 6, 7 in the evening, take a meal, and then I'm in bed like 8 p.m. or 8:30, and then you sleep your 7-8 hours, and then you're up at 3 or 4 in the morning, and then you just start again, right? So you help them to still do your sleep and eat and be regular, and you shift your schedule a little bit, because whether you get up at 4 o'clock or at 7 o'clock doesn't really matter, as long as you turn in at the time you need to turn in and get your hours of sleep, right? So
yeah, no, I like that. And I would oftentimes wake up at 4 and then lay there for 2 hours trying to go back to sleep, and it's just a waste of time. Just get up and start working. Just maybe even go to the gym. Go work out, and take a shower, and then maybe lay down and get a 20-minute nap if it's possible. But yeah, totally agree with you. Well, let me ask you in terms of, because you work with a lot of coaches as well. Have you seen any best practices from individuals that in your organization that you're like, wow, they've got it dialed in? Or you could talk about some best practices or worst practices, like these are not good things to put in your life, whether it's food or exercise or whatever.
Well, let me answer that question a little different, because a lot of coaches are working really hard to establish their practice and build their business. And same as every other small business owner, you have to be a jack of all trades. And one thing we do for our coaches is to give them a lot of resources and tools so that they don't have to do that themselves, right? It's a little bit like like a cookbook, right? To give them all the recipes and all the resources and the pots and pans so that they just basically can cook much quicker, faster the meals for their clients. And for us as an organization, that is really the value we want to additionally add to the coaches, right? I'll just give you at least one example of that. So we use software that coaches use in their coaching, that they can get suggestions from coworkers, make action plans, and disseminate those action plans and follow up with their clients and leaders on that. So that helps them a lot in their business, but it also gives us a lot of data on how coaching goes and how leaders get better and what leaders are working on. So we did this analysis of the top 100 leadership growth areas that leaders around the world focus on, based on the 100,000 leaders that we coached. And we distilled that top 100 down to the top 15. And for each of those 15 competencies, we created a guide based on the data that we have from the same software and some of the assessments we do and feedback from coaches on, if you want to get better at, in this top 10 are things like empowerment, stakeholder management, executive presence, decision-making, influencing, that kind of stuff. So we made a guide for coaches to say, if you are working with a client on stakeholder management, which probably is the case because it's one of the top 10 things that leaders work on, then here is a guide of what's working, what's not working, why it's not working, how you can help leaders to get better at this based on the data we have from all the leaders that we coach and the data that you contributed to as a coach as well. So that is kind of from a coach perspective, that's like striking gold, right? Because now I can use that in my marketing to get more clients, but I also can use it in my coaching in helping the client much quicker get sorted in terms of, I'm working on stakeholder management, which is a very common thing what everybody is focusing on. So that's fine as a leader. I have a good excuse to work on that. And this is my quick start guide in getting better at this very quickly. And thank you, coach, for giving me that guide, because now we can make progress so much faster in so much more focused fashion. So coaches love that because it saves them a lot of time, saves them a lot of effort. They get a lot of credit from their clients for bringing those resources in the coaching process. So that creates meaning for everybody, right? So we don't help them with meals, but we help them with meaning. Yeah.
No, well, I guess, that's as important as well. So, when people, they can see the results that are possible for them to attain, they're going to be more motivated to pursue that course. And then when they achieve that and they get that feedback, that's huge. And then that again comes back to what we were talking about before. When you're getting that positive feedback, that energizes everybody. So that's really, really cool.
And it becomes easier, right? They can achieve those results easier because they don't have to put in all the efforts themselves.
What, you have all that amazing data. What are the top 3 areas across the board, opportunities for growth that you're seeing? What are the top 3 things that people need to work on?
Yeah, so interestingly, that doesn't really differ around the world much.
Okay.
So thinking strategically, executive presence, and empowerment are definitely the top 3.
Okay, so how do you coach thinking strategically? Okay, I can tell my team, I'm going to start thinking more strategically. But if I haven't been doing it, it's not like I can just go, okay, think, strategic. How do you coach that?
Yeah. So thinking more strategically is actually a real challenge for many leaders in many organizations. And so we build a guide around that. And one of the interesting things that even struck me as we created that some time ago is that leaders are good in understanding the future and seeing the future and investing in trends and understanding and learning about trends. So they're good at that, at the crystal ball piece, so to say, right? To understand that. But where thinking strategically falls flat or falls apart is that they don't take the organization along. So they don't mobilize that strategy vision. They don't communicate it. They don't build it in prioritization. They don't build it in communication and story building. Yeah? They don't build it into their execution plans, yeah? Or in their reward systems. So it's about mobilizing that strategic thinking and communicating around that. That is where leaders lack. And that's, for instance, where that particular guide kind of unveiled that. It's like, yeah, that's so amazing. If you can help leaders make that jump so quickly on what does that mean to me? What do you need to do? So that is one piece. And then the other piece is that every leader the quality of leadership is determined by the environment that the leader operates in. And basically it's the coworkers and their industry and the organizational culture. And if I want to get better at thinking strategically, then getting that input from my coworkers on the suggestions that they have and, hey, do this way, that would help me a lot. Think about it or communicate it in that way, that would help me a lot. That's how you then mobilize the change process for the leader. And one of the things that would look like is, for instance, that people would say, well, to be better at thinking strategically, today I was talking to the CTO of a large organization here in the region, not in the Middle East, and thinking strategically was one of their issues. And the suggestion he was getting from his team is like, the storytelling that you're doing is great, but we need more of those stories that connect to technology, the stories that connect to success stories in our prioritization and execution, and success stories that connect to how we deliver results. That's storytelling you're good at, but you need to do that more in the different aspects that relate to thinking strategically and mobilizing the strategy, right? And for the leader, that was like, ding, 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 ding. That's great. Now I know exactly what I need to do. Helpful to me. I can do that. Helpful to my people. We're making progress. That's fantastic, right? So that's how you create that discussion. So focus on thinking strategically, get some of the resources that we built as guides around this, and then involve your coworkers with suggestions, because these people are the key to success.
All right. Well, just a couple more questions. Well, let me ask you, pretty much every business out there right now is being impacted by AI. What are you seeing in your space?
Yeah, so that brings me back to a story that I have been really talking to people about for a long time. You know, in the 90s, when people were coaches, then the coach was the guru, right? And the guru is the bringer of light, the person who has the knowledge that other people don't have. And then the internet and Google came up, and then it's like, yeah, Google is your guru, right? You can get information from Google much cheaper, faster than through your coach. And now, 20 years later, in a way, AI, not in a way, AI is your guru, right? And that's just a fact. So as a coach, the bringer of the know-how, that is not the role of the coach, for two reasons. Most leaders, they know enough. They don't have a shortage of know-how. They have a shortage of show-how. And whatever they lack in know-how, they can get very quickly with online learning or AI or something. So the sweet spot for the coach is to help leaders to turn that know-how into show-how, which really means to help them to apply what they know in their special environment with all the special people they work with, because it is complex and it is fast-paced. So that application of know-how into show-how, that's the sweet spot for the coach. And AI can aid in that process, but AI still will have a long way to go to really kind of take over that process from the coach. So same as the internet has become the best friend of the coach over the last 20 years, AI needs to become or should become the best friend of the coach in the next 20 years. It's here to stay.
Awesome. And for you, when you need to think strategically, either about the growth of the Global Coach Group or your personal development and growth, do you have some favorite writers, speakers, or resources that you'd like to leverage?
I think Daniel Pink is a great person to dive into a lot of great things he shares. Daniel Goleman about emotional intelligence, I think, is a really a go-to place, because in the end of the day, people are complex and diverse, more so than ever before. And I think the other part is people need to travel more. I was talking to one of my colleagues today about some things that are happening in our organization. And, some countries have a very bad rap of what we see on the news, without naming them now, right? But some of these countries are very big countries with a lot of people. And yeah, we work with those, either they're in our team or they're our customer or whatever, but lovely people, amazing people to work with. And I think what is really important is for people to go out there more and experience other cultures. And you can either go to these countries, that is one way to do it, but you can also go to the restaurants that they have in all the countries that we already live in anyway, right? So I think that is really going to change a lot for all of us individually. So yeah, it's great to read and to look things up through AI or YouTube or read books about it. But, also embrace the colorful world we live in and try their food, try their countries, and talk to their people.
I think that's some great advice. I think from Daniel Pink, I read his book Drive. I think he also wrote one. He's written several books. I think he wrote one about sales that was pretty good. But I think the book Drive really resonated with me. I sometimes reread. I've some Tony Robbins books, Stephen Covey book, because it's all basic stuff. I mean, all those guys, they did a lot of the same research. They went back and read, the people before them, and then and repurposed their content in their specific way. And it's all true, but I forget sometimes, I forget to sharpen the saw, I got to go out and sharpen the saw. I got to, so it's important to do that. So I think it's nice to have a resource like that. In terms of the travel to counteract what people are seeing on TV, I would say shut the damn TV off. The news these days, in my opinion, is just designed to agitate and scare and alarm you enough that you get pulled into it. And I can't believe how many previously, I would say, well-balanced people are off kilter these days and living from headline to headline. Did you see what he said today? Did you see what this country's doing today? Did you see what? And I was like, oh my God, this stuff has been going on for hundreds of years. And it's just now that and if you're going to live your life from headline to headline, it's going to be a pretty rough trip. And to go out and smell the roses, like we talked about before, go enjoy that dinner, go travel, and you'll see that the sky is not falling everywhere today. Okay. We don't have to be Chicken Little. So I think that's some really good advice. Hey, Will,
that also connects to meaning, right? Because if you go and enjoy these things, then you also that also connects with your own meaning. And if you get stuck into the news and the headlines, then you could basically go from stress to stress and panic to panic, right? So not very helpful. Yeah.
No, and your cortisol levels are jacked, and that's no fun at all, man. So, well, it's been great talking with you. I want to wrap this up, but I know that you published a book recently. If you'd like to share a little bit about your book and anything about the global coach group in terms of things that are happening for you down the road, please do.
So the book is called Triple Win Leadership Coaching, and so it's a book written for coaches who want to be more effective in coaching their clients, or for leaders and organizations who want to be better at coaching their teams, or HR people who want to obviously do internal coaching inside the organization. It's available anywhere where books are sold, Amazon and everybody else. It has been an Amazon International #1 bestseller in consulting and coaching for some time, so it has had a great reception. And it's really the book that I wish somebody had written for me 20 years ago, because it really includes everything, how to kind of get up and running very quickly with your coaching practice, and how to make it successful for yourself. And even if you're a senior coach, everybody is struggling with a few things: more impact and more coaching and more clients. That's what people are struggling with to have as a coach. And that is not just a coaching issue. That is in every service industry, every restaurant and every consultant is challenged with the same issue. And this is a great book to understand how you can exactly get that. Create more impact in your coaching, do more coaching with the clients that you have, and get more clients, because everybody loves results. Because in the end of the day, people want coaching for results, not for the fun of being coached, right? It's the same as fitness. People want to look better or feel better. People don't go to the fitness center because they want to sweat and show all their latest shoes. Yeah.
Absolutely. And by the way, it is a great book. And I just took a look at Amazon, and you've got a large number of reviews, and you're ranked very, very highly in the leadership and coaching categories there. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's
So
great.
The book is available on Amazon. They can also go to our website, globalcoachgroup.com. There is a book page where people then can obviously buy the book on whatever bookshop that is near to them. And also there's an e-learning that's associated with the book that's free, where people can sign up for. And a lot of our cases and research and guides are also available through that e-learning. So it's a great way for people to kind of get in touch with the book. And the e-learning is complementary to the book. And of course, if people have an interest to talk to me directly, they can always email me at coach@globalcoachgroup.com.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks again for being on the Grow Fast podcast. And let me know if you ever get to my side of the world, okay? It'd be great to catch up.
Excellent. I will do that. Thanks.
I call the West Coast of the United States my side of the world. All right, this is mine over here, okay? All right, you take care.
You bet. All right. Thank you. Bye, Mark.